I can't believe the words that are about to come out of my mouth, but if you didn't think the news for Spider-Man Brand New Day could get any crazier, they said, man, you know what, here go 10 more for you. Because not only are we getting Punisher and most likely Mr. Negative in this movie, it's confirmed that we're going to be getting multiple villains in this movie. I'm talking Scorpion, Tombstone, Boomerang, Tarantula, and more. I used to pray for times like this. Plus some story details on how all this could connect to Doomsday. And as your #1 certified Spider-Man meat glazer, I get a little bit of crumbs. I'm going to make a 5-star meal because there's gossip, rumors, panic in the streets. We're lucky. But either way, me and you know what we got to do. We got to talk about it. And boom! Man, you know what? Doom! You looking for this? So to quickly catch people up to speed, if you didn't know, Spider-Man Brand New Day has begun filming in Glasgow, Scotland, where we got a couple of set photos of them making the streets of Glasgow look like New York City. Now, in case you don't know, the reason they're filming here and not in the actual streets of New York City is because, one, it's a lot cheaper, and two, it's closer to Pinewood Studios in England, where they're going to be shooting on sets indoors. So it looks like there's going to be some type of giant action set piece going on in the streets of Glasgow, near a fake construction site, but if you look here, it confirms that Spider-Man Brand New Day in the universe of the MCU takes place in 2027. And since we know that Spider-Man Brand New Day is the next MC movie to come out after Fantastic Four and before Doomsday, we now know that it definitely takes place before the events of Doomsday. And as you can see here, they're still doing work to make it look more like New York City. They haven't actually shot anything yet, but when we do, just know, I'm gonna go feral when we get our first look at the new suit, and it better be practical. But on top of that news yesterday, we got even more news from industry insiders like Alex Perez from the Cosmic Circus, who is a very reliable industry insider. Today, he teased that Brand New Day, from everything he's hearing, is starting to sound like and feel like a live-action version of the animated series. On top of that, Alex Perez also teased that there's at least 3 villains in the movie, and other industry insiders and scoopers like My Time to Shine Low, whose hit rate has severely gone down, but Alex Perez did know that this right here sounds like something legit. It sounds like Brand New Day is actually going to do something that's even ballsier than what Ironheart did. I have an idea on what this could mean later. Because while all that was going down, Destin Daniel Cretton, the director of Spider-Man Brand New Day's assistant, posted this image on social media of what looks like the wall in his office that Kevin Feige described as having multiple comic covers that he's going to be trying to bring to life. And you know me, as soon as I saw the covers, I started asking questions and connecting dots. One of those comic covers being Amazing Spider-Man 134, which features Tarantula, who is a D borderline Z-list Spider-Man villain. But this is very interesting because it goes back to a couple reports we heard from a couple months ago from a Disney merchandise conference where they said that Tarantula would be appearing in Spider-Man Brand New Day. I'm assuming this is going to be Anton Miguel Rodriguez's version, who at one point himself becomes a Man-Spider-esque figure. But we actually just saw one of the more popular versions of Tarantula and Maria Vasquez in Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, who's also been a member of the Heroes for Hire, which Shang-Chi has been a part of. Who directed Shang-Chi again? Destin Daniel Cretton. There's a connection here that I'm going to find a way to make. But another one of those covers on Destin's wall is Amazing Spider-Man 345, which features Boomerang. Again, another D borderline Z-list villain. And this most likely confirms that Disney merch conference report of there being a bunch of villains in Spider-Man Brand New Day, which includes Boomerang, but not just Boomerang, Tombstone, and Scorpion. I used to pray for times like this if it's true. We have been screaming for years since that post-credit scene in Spider-Man Homecoming. We need to see Michael Mando return as Scorpion Mac Gargan. You cannot waste Nacho like this, man. If you've seen Better Call Saul, you know just how incredible of an actor he is. And I personally would consider Scorpion one of the most popular Spider-Man villains that has yet to get a live-action adaptation. And I just need to see this altercation in live action some way, somehow. And I'm really hoping and praying that his suit looks something like this, a little bit more practical. It reminds me of MCU Vulture. Or preferably something like this. If he ends up looking like this, I'm moist. And they got the blueprint ready for a perfect adaptation of MCU Scorpion. And given his performance and the fact that he's Latino, you could definitely tell that this is supposed to be Michael Mando. With Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, he was so damn intimidating and a great first villain for this Spider-Man. Which is also very much the case for Lonnie Lincoln Tombstone himself. We just saw a younger version of him. I love this adaptation, by the way, in Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. And I feel like Tombstone's popularity has been skyrocketing, having been featured in Insomniac's Spider-Man universe. He was one of Kingpin's goons in Into the Spider-Verse. Plus, all my 90s kids, he was in Spider-Man the Animated Series. But the version I hope they adapt is the Big Man, because this is my favorite interpretation of the character. I mean, yeah, they basically just made him Kingpin if he was Tombstone, but that's fire. I would love to see this type of dynamic between the two. I personally think it would be fire if we got a little bit of gang wars. Introduce the Maggia, the Man-Freddies. Let's just get all out uncivil with it, especially with what's going on in New York and Kingpin outlawing all vigilantes. You just know someone's gonna be coming for that throne. If they want to just bring back Marvin Jones, shit, why not? And say what you want about Zeb Wells, the Amazing Spider-Man, I'm gonna say it's still dog shit, but the fight between him and Lonnie was fire. I hope whenever we do get a live-action fight between Tombstone and Spider-Man, it's something like this. Now, Boomerang as a villain is very interesting for a couple of different reasons. We're talking like a D or F-list character. Like, if you don't read comics at all, you definitely have no idea who this man is. He's kind of like if Bullseye, Hawkeye, Vigilante, and Captain Boomerang all rolled into one. And at one point, actually teams up with Spider-Man and sacrifices his life for him in front of Moreland. But the other interesting thing is, he has connections to Shang-Chi, too. I mean, as well as a bunch of other Marvel heroes like Daredevil. The fucking first hero he fought was Hulk crazy. With the inclusion of Punisher, like I've been saying for years now, even my own personal theory on how this Spider-Man 4 at the time should open up, this is going to be a more grounded gang war story. And especially after the events of Daredevil Born Again, turfs are up for grabs. So there's going to be a turf gang war happening where we get a bunch of these lesser known villains. Some are going to be enhanced by weapons, mutagens that Spider-Man has to apprehend. And I hope this movie opens up with a montage of the chaos in Peter's life. Him wearing the mask primarily throughout this entire movie like the Batman, really pouring himself into his work now that he's alone. I bet the opening montage for Brand New Day is going to be him subduing all of these lesser known villains and recreating these classic comic covers and reestablishing how he defends New York City, while at the same time having the Punisher unloading the clip and murdering some of these gang members as he's known to do. So I really hope the montage ends with him subduing a more comic accurate version of Shocker. It would be even funnier if we get a moment like this between Shocker and Punisher. If you know, you know. But going back to what My Time to Shine Hello had to say, I feel like the ballsy choice is going to have something to do with the kill rule. Because why else would you have someone like Punisher in this movie? And from all the rumors, Bruce Banner / the Hulk, if you weren't going to have something to say about his loneliness and his rage. Because I feel like Peter's going to be consumed by guilt. And that's the real reason right now why he's using all of his great power to have this great responsibility as a burden. But Peter's going to have to learn that he wants to do that as a choice. He wants to be Spider-Man. He needs to embrace himself and not do it out of guilt. Especially if the symbiote plays a factor at some point in time in this movie, which I feel like you would probably have to do that in this film or Doomsday to set it up in Secret Wars. But I think a film like Brand New Day where he's literally alone, has no one but dark mirrors to look into like Punisher and Hulk, what better time than now to have him get a little dirty and nastier? And also a great way to mature this franchise with its audience than to have the symbiote Spider-Man be something that seduces Peter. This also comes off the heels of what Kevin Feige had to say about Brand New Day. Feige said that as sad as it is that Peter is forgotten by everyone he knew, for the first time we're seeing him be a proper Spider-Man in the MCU. Him being by himself, dedicated to saving the city, and dealing with, for lack of a better terms, street-level crime, as opposed to world-ending events. Either way, Spider-Man fighting supervillains, gangs, and ninjas in New York. Set that bitch during the winter time so we can have that snow aesthetic and oh my goodness, take all of my money. But I think we ain't done yet. Because as of this moment, Tom Holland's Spider-Man is not in Doomsday, and Marvel Studios is trying to get a deal done with Sony to include him in Avengers. I think this will all get done and we'll have a small role for Spider-Man in Doomsday. But this allows Spider-Man Brand New Day to stay grounded with multiversal elements in the post-credit scene, which, in case you didn't know, was the one condition that Destin Daniel Cretton agreed to be the director for this movie. He wanted Spider-Man to go back to his roots, be grounded, and be a much more emotional project. Another panel that I need to see adapted is that classic Civil War one of Punisher and Spider-Man. I'm sure like every classic comic trope, they're going to be at odds at first before they eventually team up. Because don't forget, Hulk is all but confirmed to be in this movie as well, and the rumors are saying that he's going to be a Savage Hulk too. So I hope Spider-Man ends up having to fight Savage Hulk and he stops holding back too for a second before ultimately getting his ass beat. And can we also bring back battle damage suits like this? If Spider-Man ain't looking like this at the end of this movie, not doing it right. Also, Punisher trying to fight Hulk is just so funny to me for some reason. But I think that's how we could recreate this image right here. And despite the fact Kevin Feige said that Spider-Man is basically going to be all alone, there are going to be cynical people that are going to say, what do you mean he's alone? He's got the Punisher in this movie and most likely Hulk. But I think those are two of the best characters that you can have if this film is truly about Spider-Man being alone. Having Punisher and Hulk as mirrors that Spider-Man can look up to not do that, they could fit so well with the themes of this movie and how you cope with loneliness. But all I know is it's going to be Punisher as soon as Spider-Man says we need to stop the Hulk, but we can't kill him.
I do not have time for your candy-ass hero shit.
I also hope that eventually when Hulk and Spider-Man and Punisher most likely all team up, that we get to recreate this arc, which by the way, shout out to Spider Monkey, who's another incredible artist you guys need to follow. Recreated it for the MCU and oh my goodness, it's gorgeous. I need it more than I need air. But I know there are still people out there that are skeptical, like how is Punisher and Hulk gonna work in a Spider-Man movie? Thankfully, if you follow me, you know you're following the biggest Spider-Man ball knower, and ain't nobody else has brought this up on this app except me, because I keep that thing on me. But in the Brand New Day run, Amazing Spider-Man 577 has a reluctant team up between the Punisher and Spider-Man, where the Punisher is going after, and by going after I mean unloading the clip on, who are using gamma irradiated HGH to sell as a drug and also enhance their own goons. Now, Bruce Banner and Hulk don't appear in this issue, but it features the perfect dynamic and how we can make Punisher work in PG-13. Like, there's so many times when Punisher's trying to kill someone and Spider-Man's like flipping him away, like, nope, not today, Frank. Even when they stop Buddy Boy, Frank still shoots him in the fucking gut and he's like, all right, now you can either stop me or take him to the hospital. Shit's funny as fuck. But I think we're gonna get some type of element from this, obviously, since it's from Brand New Day. You might have other people that talk about Spider-Man Brand New Day, but they don't know Spider-Man Brand New Day like me. No cocky shit. I'm just pissed off people stealing my shit. Now, the reason I say Hulk is all but confirmed is because Brett Pollack, who's the director of photography for Spider-Man Brand New Day, accidentally uploaded images of the Hulk to his Pinterest account, which he is using as a mood board for Spider-Man Brand New Day, which, by the way, some of these images that they're going for are fire. But based on everything he put on his Pinterest, it seems like Spider-Man Brand New Day is going to be way more mature, and I cannot wait for it because I need that. So it definitely seems like Spider-Man Brand New Day is going to be some type of gang war storyline, with him having to cope with being alone and staying away from people that he loves, with no one in the world knowing who he is. At least knowing who Peter Parker is. Everyone remembers Spider-Man. I really hope that it's set during winter so we can get a winter aesthetic, because look at this. We ain't never had a live-action Spider-Man do that before, so I think it would be tough. And as of this moment, the cast includes Tom Holland Spider-Man. We got Sadie Sink joining the cast in an undisclosed role. Zendaya will return as MJ. Jacob Batalon is also set to return as Ned Leeds. Liza Colon Reyes was also cast in an undisclosed role. Either one of Peter's teachers at ESU, or more likely Rio Morales, since she has Puerto Rican roots. They've been hinting and teasing since Homecoming that Miles is on the way, so just be ready in case. And finally, J.K. Simmons is going to be reprising his role as J. Jonah Jameson. Hopefully Peter is working for him. Since we know that Scorpion might potentially be in this movie, why not include this storyline of him funding the experiment that creates the Scorpion? But either way, that's all the new news we got about Spider-Man Brand New Day. Let me know what you think about my thoughts, theories, and opinions down in the comments below. And as always, like and follow for more.